for, let's see, it was an hour and 15 minutes at first. They evacuated the entire mall on Friday, about 2 o'clock or so. And when they realized everything was safe and they could bring power back up in graduated steps, they did, but the Macy's had to be isolated from the grid, so they brought in 2 full-size Caterpillar tractor trailers, diesel generators, okay, spewing tons of that CO2 that SunPower has on their little website about how they're preventing from going into the atmosphere with solar initially. And those things were in place 2 weeks, solid 2 weeks, while the switchgear was being remanufactured, where that explosion happened. And right now there's an investigation going on. I'd be happy to be a subject matter expert and have bring my photographs I took and show anybody after, but it is a startling example of the hazards of electricity that are blind to where the electricity is coming from. It's coming from the sun, coming from a nuke, coming from wherever, it doesn't matter. Electricity is not discerned. It does what it does. And that was a direct short. And the same company that did that installation, Absolute Power Systems, not running anybody under the bus, but they did the target also. And one of my brothers asked me, hey, well, how can that company, how are they bonding? How can they do that? And it's like, well, when these installations were happening, they were happening at the same time. And the thing with electricity is it's insidious, and the failures can happen at any time. The installations were done in the same time frame, the failures happened a year apart. How many failures are going to happen in the future, we don't know exactly, but we're anxious to see what the investigation yields, and that same company combination was a part of perhaps as many as 28 Macy's installations in the state. So the target store was the same companies, but just obviously a different customer.
Well, clearly they should have hired us.
Yeah, I mean, what we're looking for is to make a relationship and help dispel some of the myths. I don't want to, if I haven't already gone too long, I want to make sure there's a valid, enough question and answer. And so this, you guys want to start? I'll start.
Yeah, just as a kind of quick wrap up to some of the points we were trying to make here. I'd like to suggest 2 things to you. The photovoltaic industry has grown and developed a lot, right, over the last 2 decades, right? It started as kind of a offline thing with folks that were kind of off the grid maybe. Now it has developed into a multi-billion-dollar international industry. And I'd like to suggest to you that probably the value that society and the world receives from the PV industry isn't really shared on the same basis, same value with the workers that do the installation. Okay? So it hasn't kept up. That's the punchline. The second thing I'd like to suggest is that one way for that to happen is I think unions can help with that. Okay? Now, a very good point was brought up. How does that work with a worker-owned co-op, a worker-owned business? Okay? I think that there are still a lot of values and positives that unions can help provide, and our contractors association can help provide to the company and to the workers, regardless of that relationship. It was mentioned before that in some co-ops, not all workers are members of the co-op. So how does that develop? I mean, should those workers that aren't members and they're not part of the decision-making process, should they have a voice through a union if they're not going to be members of that co-op? Right, there's one thought. A lot of the advantages Dave spoke about earlier still apply. So the whole thing with collective bargaining, that's kind of something we have to think about. But as far as training in technical skills and business skills, every company needs that. Whether it's estimating, project management, computer skills, every company needs that training, and it's available through the union industry. Political efforts, when Dave talks about business development, a lot of that is through our political efforts. We're very active politically. Job referral. I would hope that everyone in this room stays forever with triple Helix, and it goes on for the next 100 years. But if not, it might be nice to have a job referral system where if you do lose employment at a company, you would have someplace else to market your skills, aside from hitting Craigslist or trying to find a job yourself. What is nice about a collective bargaining agreement is when you're dispatched to a job, your classification, you go out at the same wage rate, health benefits, and pension benefits that you did at the last employer. Unlike starting fresh at a new company where you might say you were getting, $30 an hour, go to a new company, well, sorry, we're going to bump you down to 18 for the first 6 months in order to see how you do. And by the way, your health care is not going to kick in for 6 months, same with your pension, until we see how you do. What's nice about a job referral system is that it gives you the ability to locate another job doing the same skills that you currently do at the same pay rate, at the same benefit level. It also works well for contractors so that when a contractor needs additional help, they have a source of skilled labor to know how to do the work. Marketing, we already spoke enough about that, I think. Communication with other folks in the labor movement, member assistance services. I don't know, triple Helix, that's one component. Do you guys want to do all your own HR? Right? Do you want to handle more medical and pension?
I certainly don't want to.
Well, we have a third-party administrator that handles the medical benefits, the pension benefits, vacation accounts, and also any problems somebody might be having with the provider. Okay? So it would save a company a lot of HR headaches as well as provide better services to the members. Another thought is growth in other green technologies. Along with photovoltaics, we also do a lot of training. There's a career ladder in place for doing advanced lighting controls, building automation controls, traffic signal work. There's a lot of things that a company could expand into within the green community. The last thing I'd like to mention is there's been a lot of positive expectations by the green movement recently, right? Everyone's been talking a lot about photovoltaics, and the hope of a lot of people throughout the community is that a lot of good things can come from it besides just less pollution. Right? They're hoping there could be a lot of social benefit. I think a lot of folks are probably familiar with Green for All and different community groups in the area that are providing training to people. Cypress Mandela, Richmondville, Lincoln College, providing training, hoping that the new jobs for folks in this country, that they want to provide the training so the jobs are available. What's coming into everybody's consciousness recently is the idea that we want to have not only just temporary jobs that people can work at relatively low wages, but we're hoping to have career jobs, quality jobs, that somebody can work at for a career. Okay? We hope that the green job revolution is more than just throwaway jobs, and it actually is there's a lot of social benefit that everyone can gain from it. Okay? And that's what the IBEW has been laying a foundation with a lot of groups, because that's what we want to see happen. This can be an engine for change, okay? And that's what we hope to see the whole green job revolution. We hope that's what happens. So,
Let's ask you guys one last real quick question, just maybe like a 2-minute response from each of you.
Roger had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I was just wondering, what was the IBEW stance 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, when solar as a technology, when photovoltaics as a technology had become kind of mainstream? Maybe 10 years ago, at the start of the California rebates, why wasn't it, or what what did the IBEW do then? Like,
I'll take a shot. We were behind the time. The IBEW and the union movement in general has done plenty to shoot itself in the foot. Okay, it's like a lot of large organizations. It takes a while for it to get up to speed. I think we're there.
Yeah, I know Matt and I come from the same organization, but I would suggest that that's a very simple answer, and that inherently speaking, what we look at fundamentally is we consider anything with electronic flow our jurisdiction. And when that technology was emerging initially, I think the growing or the common mindset was that it's electron flow. The people doing that work should be compensated at electricians' wages, and we have a solid foundation on DC and AC theory and measurements and those things in our training programs, and it's just another facet of the industry to learn. So we expected that others would feel the same way. Licensing laws in the state aren't the same way. Certification laws and how they apply to workers in what we consider to be the electrical industry are not the same across all contractors' licenses. And so I think we were overconfident. And this is where I'm definitely going to synchronize with Matt in saying that behind the times is one way to say, in my opinion, overconfident that we would expect people to be compensated at our wage structures, which would mean that our industry would just kind of evolve into where we have a growing percentage of people in our membership ranks that do that type of work. And we've had lots of fluctuations in areas where we've had the majority of our work performed. Industrial bases, data centers have been something we've been building a lot of lately. And when these different types of work evolve and then become less prominent or get built out or replaced by other types, we move on to the next technology. In fact, one of the things I'm working on right now is a jurisdictional statement more or less towards the residential market, broader with home automation and advanced controls in the home and things like that. And I did some research on the Lamplighters Union, or the horse-drawn carriage wheel craft persons union. And so we've seen industries lose their relevance. And one of the things the IBEW has done is evolve over the 120 years. And we consider this to be another evolution. And I think that the market exploded with the rebate program. And I think that we assumed a lot, and it didn't happen. And what we've seen in this room, I will say that the solar installer agreement and the concept of negotiating with an association like Calcia is new to the IBEW. When this started, it started last summer. I talked to 40-year guys in the trade who said, if this goes through, it'll be the biggest thing that has ever happened in my career. And I believe we're at that point right now where the solar industry is maturing, and we're more or less establishing that, hey, the people that are doing that type of work need representation as well. And we want to be there for people that want